Hello, and what is happening? What is happening? I'm going to tell you what is going to happen. Today, I'm going to react to a video that Al Jazeera published 7 months ago and was sent to me by Odin9331. I don't like to talk on my channel about political debates, country issues, disputes between countries, immigration, wars, or cultural differences between countries. And I'll try to stay away from those topics as much as I can, unless it's a documentary or a movie. And since this is a short documentary, I will treat it as such, which means that I have to please you. So I will do the reaction. And with that said, the name of this short documentary, published by Al Jazeera, is called The Dominican Republic Really Hates Haitians. Wow, harsh title. Yikes. All right. Well, let's see what this short documentary is about. So let's check it out. No. Before I start with this video, I want to say for those who doesn't know much about the Dominican Republic and Haiti is that both countries have had and still have a very complicated and tense relationship throughout their history that goes back from historical and economic conflicts all the way to the current issues with the Haitians immigration, border security, and let's not forget the 1937 massacre by the brutal Dominican dictator Rafael Trujillo, whose grandmother was Haitian. So, yes, both countries have a very complicated relationship. I just wanted to say that before I start with this reaction. And with that said, let's begin now.
When people picture the Dominican Republic, they often imagine pristine beaches, all-inclusive resorts, and of course, bachata. But behind this picturesque destination lies something much more violent. For decades, the Dominican government has terrorized Haitians and people of Haitian descent. It's beaten people, deported them, and even stripped them of their birthright citizenship. And it's gotten away with it. The Dominican government claims it's simply enforcing immigration laws, but the story goes much deeper.
Racism, the discrimination in the Dominican Republic, you cannot talk about these two concepts without talk about anti-Haitian, because it's like
I already know
they
where this is heading.
A lot of people will say, oh no, I am not racist, but I don't want Haitian in my country.
Generalizing is never good because it leads to prejudice or stereotypes to justify discrimination against a group of people. And by saying that all Dominicans hates Haitians is not accurate, because by generalizing, you already imply that all Dominicans are racist. No one can be 100% evil or racist. Example of this, the Nazis. Many Nazis, soldiers and officers, risked and lost their lives to help many Jews during the Holocaust. So again, generalizing is a very poor choice of word by a journalist. But I do agree that both countries have a historical complicated relationship. And I said that at the beginning of this video. I also agree that there are many Dominicans who are racist, just like in the US, the UK, France, Spain, you name it. So again, saying that all Dominicans are racist is poor journalism. So
Here's the thing, the Dominican Republic's anti-Haitianism is so notorious that in 2022, the US Embassy warned Black American travelers that they might be mistaken for Haitian migrants and wrongfully detained. See, Dominican identity has been built on anti-Haitianism and anti-Blackness all the way back to before the Dominican Republic even existed.
You know, they used to teach us when the Christopher Columbus come to the island, they give our indigenous people mirror, they take our gold. I used to say, I don't know what happened with the mirror that Christopher Colombo gave us, because we are not able to see ourselves and
I don't know what
see
she's
we
talking
are
about.
black.
Okay, this is crazy. What she said about Christopher Columbus giving mirrors to the indigenous people in exchange for gold is true. But she is completely wrong when she said that the indigenous people were black. They were not black, they were not white either. They were light brown, like copper. Also, how the anti Haitian and anti blackness was built if the journalist said that the Dominicans didn't exist. Explain me how that happened when the slaves were not in the island yet. They were brought years after the colonization of the entire island. Did they somehow predict the future? Did the Spaniards predict the future? The French? The future Dominicans? Who did it? Tell me now. I need to know. All right, let's keep watching.
The Dominican Republic and Haiti are actually neighboring countries on the same island. A look at the island of Hispaniola reveals a stark divide. Let's start in 1697. That's when France and Spain split the island after the 9 Years' War into San Domingue and Santo Domingo. The French side became the world's most profitable colony at the
That's
time,
true.
exporting sugar, coffee, and indigo. But those profits came at a cost.
Haiti was the
Plantation
wealthiest
owners worked
country at that
enslaved
time.
black people to death. It was so bad that in 1791, the people enslaved in San Domingue revolted and sparked the Haitian Revolution. Meanwhile, Santo Domingo wasn't that successful of a colony for the Spanish. It was less developed, had fewer enslaved people, and a more mixed population. Things were still unfair, but not quite as brutal as next door.
Yes, the French, they were the most brutal colonizers on the island. So bad that the African slave life expectancy was as low as 21 years old. They put children to work at young ages, and many children died or got killed by the French. And if a slave made it to 21 years old, he was considered an old slave. And that was also considered to be bad. That tells you how badly the French treated their slaves compared to the Spaniards. And I'm not saying by any means that the Spaniards were not bad, because they were. What I'm saying is that compared to what the French did to their slaves, it was like a walk on the park for the slaves in the Spanish side of the island. And that has to do because the Spaniards believe, because their Christianity believes, they believe that it was their duty to spread Christianity to the indigenous people to save their souls. And the life expectancy on the Spaniard side of the island for the slaves, indigenous slaves, was 30 to 40 years old, with many indigenous people surviving into their 50s and 60s, compared to the 21 years old life expectancy on the French side of the island. Yeah, no wonder why the French are in the top 5 most brutal colonizers in the world. So, yeah, yikes. Let's keep watching.
In 1804, Saint Domingue won its independence from France, becoming the first free black republic. It renamed itself Haiti.
Yes, Haiti became the first black republic not only in the America, but in the entire world. And that is something that has bothered me for a long, long time, that we celebrate Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and others, but we do not celebrate that Haiti was the first successful slave revolt in the modern world. And the Haitians were the first to defeat the Napoleon army in 1803. The first. The defeat of the Napoleon forces was so massive that it ended Napoleon's dream to conquer the Western Hemisphere. And because of that defeat, Napoleon ended up selling Louisiana to the United States. But you know, Dominicans are so racist that the Spaniards defeated Napoleon army in 1908. So the French and the rest of Europe recognized that defeat instead of the Haitians' defeat that happened in 1803. Because Dominicans are so racist that probably they demanded it that way. But anyway, let's keep watching.
Fast forward to 1822, Haiti, trying to protect itself from being invaded or colonized again, occupied the eastern part of the island, which had recently won independence from Spain. This is where the complicated relationship began. At first, some Dominicans were relieved at being free from European rule, but that didn't last long.
Yes, it is true. Haiti was a very wealthy colony, way more than the Spanish side of the island. They were the world leading producers of sugar, coffee, and indigo. They were the wealthiest country in the Americas even years after they got their independence from France. But later on, France made Haiti pay 120 or 150 million francs. Imagine how much that will be in today's currency. And on top of what they already paid to France, they ended up paying a whooping 20 to 30 billion dollars because they were forced to take loans from the French banks to pay the first loan. How crazy is that? And to seal Haiti's fate, the United States invaded Haiti 3 times for over 30 years and made Haiti pay for their recognition. And that's without counting the $500,000 in gold the US took from the Haitian National Bank and they gave it to Citibank. How many times the Dominican Republic has invaded Haiti? 0 times. How many times the Dominican Republic has stolen money from Haiti? 0 times. But yet, the Dominicans are the evil ones. What can I say? Let's keep watching.
During Haiti's 22-year occupation, it abolished slavery, redistributed land, broke up the Catholic Church's power, and pushed for French to replace Spanish.
Right.
In response, a secret society began plotting to break away from Haiti and form an independent Dominican state. And on February 27, 1844, Santo Domingo declared independence, rebranding itself as the Dominican Republic. So you see, by 1844, you had two totally different countries sharing one island.
Sense.
Haiti, born from a slave revolt with a mostly black population and French-based Creole culture, and the Dominican Republic with a more mixed population and the Spanish language, founded by a secret society largely made up of white Dominican elites. Now, the thing is, this occupation left some deep scars. For Dominicans, it became a big part of their national identity, this idea of resisting Haitian control. It fueled a lot of anti-Haitian sentiment and anti-blackness that still influences many aspects of Dominican society today.
You know, it's been so difficult to be Haitian in the Dominican Republic. Being called Haitian is borderline offensive in the sense that people are not saying it as a term of endearment or just to identify you as that is your ethnic descent. They're saying that in a pejorative way, right?
The founding father of the Dominican Republic fought against the Haitian rule because Juan Pablo Duarte, the creator of La Trinitaria, the Trinity, believed in the Dominican people's rights to self-determination and independence. And after 22 years of being ruled by another power, Haiti, who charged Dominicans high taxes so Haiti could pay France for their freedom, you'll know how happy the Dominicans will feel about that. And on top of that, they changed the language to French Creole, took their lands and some of their stuff. But that was okay because Haiti was now the new power in charge. So it was okay for them to do it. You all know only Haiti could be free from slavery, but not the Dominicans. Even if they do it, if the Dominicans do it, they do it because they are racist. They are not doing it because they want the same freedom. What else can I say?
While anti-Haitian sentiment started during the occupation, it cemented itself during the dictatorship of Rafael Trujillo. Trujillo's regime, initially backed by the US, aggressively promoted a nationalist ideology known as Dominicanidad through the media and public speeches. The main goal? To create a clear distinction between Dominican and Haitian identities, often portraying Haiti as a threat to Dominican culture and values.
Once again, generalizing. Just because Trujillo was anti-Haitian, it doesn't mean the entire country was anti-Haitian. But she's right about what she said about Trujillo and everything that he did to many Haitians and many Haitians Dominicans during his 30 years dictatorship. So, yeah, she's right about that.
The government rewrote Dominican history to portray Haitians as constant aggressors and a danger to the country's independence. Trujillo embedded hate against anything with African origins, not just Haitian. He promoted the idea of blanqueamiento, the whitening of the Dominican population. He even wore makeup to whiten his skin and went as far as relabeling many Dominicans of African descent Indio, which means Indian, to distance themselves from their blackness. Haitian. Here's the kicker. Trujillo's grandmother was actually Haitian. Today, more than 45% of Dominicans still self-identify as Indio versus the 8% who identify as only black. Even though it's estimated more than 70% of Dominicans have African ancestry, the trends of blanqueamiento can still be seen today.
I am Dominican. I am Dominican of Haitian descent.
So she's right about mostly everything she said, but only about Trujillo. He was a very bad hombre, even when his dear grandmother was Haitian.
A lot of people, black, Dominican, they don't understand my reality just because they believe they are not black. If foreign people see us, we don't look different. But between us, they teach us to see us as a difference. The difference could be in the tone of how black I look, how dark is my skin complexion, or how I dress, or how I do my hair.
See, racialization in the Dominican Republic, like the rest of Latin America, is layered and complicated.
In Latin America and the Caribbean, particularly Dominican Republic, what we have is people are racialized by their phenotype, right? So irrespective if you have even two black parents, right, and they may be both dark skinned, if you come out light skinned, you can be categorized as a different racial category, where in the US, that would not be the case.
These assumptions about who's Dominican and who's Haitian wind up having major impacts on people's lives.
Once again, you can tell that this documentary, if you can call it that, is very biased because the so-called professor said that in the Caribbean, and he emphasized particularly in the Dominican Republic, people are radicalized by their phenotype. Well, yes, that is true. Most Dominicans do not identify solely as black, but they also do not identify themselves as white. The majority see themselves as a mixed race, but because they see themselves as a mixed race, it doesn't mean that they are denying their African roots. What it means is that they see themselves not only as one race, but as multiple races. Meanwhile, in Haiti, 95% are African descent, with only 5% being mixed, meaning that you can find pure Africans in Haiti compared to the 75% Dominicans who are mixed, with the remaining 25% who are more European, Asian, and Arabic looking. And because of that, Dominicans come in all shades. He also said that here in the US, if one of the parents is black and the other one is white, the kid still will be considered to be black. And that is true. And that has to do because of the one-drop rule, a very racist and archaic rule made to maintain the slave population and reinforce racial segregation between blacks and whites. The one-drop rule has existed since the 1600s, and we are in the 2025 and we still use it. I think that rule should be dissolved. And with that said, Haiti cannot blame the Dominicans because France did not mix with them back then. But you know, what can I say? Let's keep watching.
There are Dominicans who are dark-skinned, who are indistinguishable from any other black person from anywhere in the world. They often get confused as Haitian, sometimes even deported in mass raid, just like any other perceived illegal person would be, or undocumented rather.
While there's a wide range of appearances in both countries, darker skin, French-sounding last names, and even hair texture can lead to individuals being perceived as Haitian, many times with dire consequences. The Dominican Republic deported more than 250,000 Haitians in 2023. Thousands of children were separated from their families, and hundreds of pregnant women, many of whom were detained in or near hospitals, were deported back to Haiti. Yet 99% of Dominicans surveyed don't believe Haitians' human rights were violated, and it's been getting worse. The border didn't always look like this. It was once open and culturally blended, but dramatically transformed in the 1930s under the Trujillo regime. Trujillo implemented the racial profiling system we talked about earlier, targeting individuals based on their skin color or perceived Haitian ancestry. This was part of his Dominicanization of the Frontier Project, which aimed at strengthening Dominican control over the border region and reducing Haitian influence. The 1937 Parsley Massacre was part of this push. Tens of thousands of Haitians were killed for not pronouncing parsley in Spanish, perejil, correctly. It was a test designed by the Dominican government to target Haitians. Surviving Haitians were driven out and towns were rebranded with Spanish names.
That is true about the 1937 massacre. It is called the Perejil Massacre, the Parsley Massacre. Trujillo sent the army to kill anyone who couldn't pronounce the word perejil. He killed around 1,000 Haitians, and those are the only ones confirmed. But supposedly, the reality is that he killed around 15 to 30,000 Haitians, but there is no confirmation of that because supposedly they burned many of the bodies to hide the evidence. So she's right about what mostly she said about Trujillo, but only about Trujillo. He was a bad hombre. Let's keep watching.
While Haitian labor wasn't entirely cut off, it was strictly controlled through a recruitment-based bracero program for sugar plantations. Remember that for later. Today, the Dominican government is building a wall to keep Haitians out. In recent decades, a slew of anti-Haitian immigration and denationalization laws have been passed. In 2004, Migration Law 28504 revoked birthright citizenship from the children of foreigners in transit, a term that was redefined to include migrant workers, many of whom were Haitian. In 2013, Judgment 16813 stripped away birthright citizenship for all people born to foreign parents in the Dominican Republic between 1929 and 2010. More than 200,000 people of Haitian descent were left stateless. Many had their birth certificates canceled, so they couldn't get a cédula, which is like an ID. Without a cédula, some people can't enroll in school, get a job, or even open a bank account. And in 2022, Decree 66822 set up a special police unit to go after foreign-born people living in the country without documentation. This unit mainly targets bateyes, which are settlements near sugarcane fields mostly lived in by Haitian workers and their Dominican-born families.
Yes, the Dominican government removed the citizenship to many Haitians born in the country, but not to all of them like she said. It is sad? Yes, it is. But it happened because the Dominican government found out that most of them didn't have a legit birth certificate or other official documents. It's the same problem here with DACA. What do you guys think it will happen if the US find out that an immigrant forged an official document, right? So that's what happened with the Haitians and when the Dominican government started investigating and putting their names in their system and finding out that there weren't any record of them being born in the country or any hospital. Also, they find out that their parents were immigrants. So how they obtained citizenship when there is no record of them being born in the country. So see what the problem is? It's a combination of parents' negligence and corruption within the Dominican government. I only feel sorry for them because they are the ones paying the price. But the law is the law.
How is it that folks can come into your house at 2 a.m, beat you up, take your stuff, take you across the border when you have your documentation, right? And there's no redress for you. There's no medical care you can take. Folks, in fact, are dying en route to being deported because a lot of the trucks are so packed with folks.
It's important to note that over 85% of migrants in the Dominican Republic were born in Haiti. So just on paper, any immigration law is going to disproportionately affect Haitians and anyone who could be racially profiled as Haitian. While Dominican politicians often blame Haitians as a burden on the country's economy, the Dominican Republic relies heavily on cheap Haitian labor. This brings us back to the bateyes. Originally created for the Haitian braceros, these hyper-police communities often lack basic amenities like running water, reliable electricity, and adequate sanitation facilities. Activists have reported that working conditions on sugar plantations, mostly staffed by Haitians, are extremely harsh with little access to healthcare, food, or living wages. Activists have even called it,
without question, this was slavery. They were forced to work from dusk till dawn under the threat of violence and/or death or imprisonment.
That is true about the Haitians' working conditions in their sugar fields, but he's over-exaggerating about killing them, about not being paid, being mistreated, and hard labor. Yes, all of that is true. That happened in a company called Central Romana, and it is super sad.
in fact, the US banned sugar imports from the major Dominican sugar company, Central Romana, due to signs of forced labor and other inhumane practices.
Oh, that is hilarious. She said, oh, the US sanctioned the company, but she did not mention that the company is owned by a US sugar corporation. What a surprise! But Dominican Republic is the one to be blamed. Oh, and by the way, spoiler alert, Trump quietly lifted all the sanctions to La Central Romana a couple weeks ago.
Anti-Haitianism and anti-Blackness is so deeply ingrained in Dominican society that it's often ignored and defended. From sports, like in the case of Dominican baseball player Sammy Sosa using a bleaching cream to significantly whiten his skin, to the popular joke,
I no black, negro nunca, nunca, I no no.
when talking about how Dominicans view themselves. But the Dominican Republic isn't alone in its anti-Blackness. In fact, it's part of a larger epidemic across Latin America. To learn more, watch our pieces about Latin America's ploy to whiten society and how the US and France made Haiti poor.
Time to comment now. All right. I'm going to give my honest opinion about this short documentary. I am Dominican, and my mother is brown, and some of my siblings are also brown. Most of my family are brown and light skin. Now, the truth is that I am very disappointed by the lack of real journalism in this video. I agree that the Dominican Republic has problems. It is not a perfect country, mainly because of government corruption. And I know that there are many Dominicans who are racist, like in any other country in the world. But there are many more Dominicans who are not racist. The level of hypocrisy in this video is horrible, since he only talks about hatred. And that's very concerning and is misleading with malicious intent. Most Dominicans do not hate Haitians. The main problem is that the Dominican government has stated many times that it cannot solve Haiti's problems on its own, and that is not its responsibility to solve Haiti's problems. The majority of Dominicans want the best for Haiti. I want the best for Haiti. I want to see Haiti progress. It breaks my heart to see everything that is happening to the Haitian people. They are our brothers and sisters. But the reality is that the only ones who can help Haiti to solve Haiti's problems are the ones who created them in the first place. How about starting with the return of the $500,000 in gold that the US took from Haiti's national bank, that it is held by Citibank? France and the United States should be taking charge of the island and manage it until the situation improves and the country and its people can make a transition to a more stable government. But, anyway, I think I already said enough. Yeah. One last thing I will say. Shame on Al Jazeera for publishing this kind of hateful content. Yeah. Shame on you. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, I did not enjoy it, leave a comment down below. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. See ya.